Everybody, Valerie, Michael, Dan, Gary, Wade, Bob, Francois, David, Tara, Mark, Mary, Norman, Rex. Glad to see everybody for 30 minutes of awesome. It is Tuesday at 5 p.m. Anyway, glad to see everybody. And that may have been all my energy. Hey, Laura, glad to have you. What a day, right? Just a choppy sideways hot mess. Big down, big up. And in the end of the day, just did exactly what I thought we would do, that I said this morning on the wrap up, where I was like, expectation, maybe we just chop again, which I was hopeful we would break out, but we just chopped again. Looks like we're gonna wait for that CPI first thing in the morning, and the PPI coming up first thing tomorrow or Thursday morning. Tomorrow morning is CPI. Anyway, so we've got some market moving potential inflation numbers. That's consumer price index and producer price index coming up on the next 2 mornings at 8:30 in the morning before the market opens. So before I do another show tomorrow, we'll have CPI hitting. And, well, I expect us to run a little high, a little hot, but I don't know. We'll be right on the edge. Like, is it hot enough that we need to do another rate raise? Or is it cool enough that supports the continuing narrative that we may eventually cut rates? I don't know. I was kind of back and forth on it this morning, and I don't know. I don't think we're going to cut rates. I would give odds that we're going higher, kind of like Jamie Dimon. Maybe he listens to the show. Jamie Dimon coming out this week saying that we may experience 8 to 9% on our interest rates. What is JTP? What have I been saying for the last year? We may go on up higher, get another second big run of rates, and experience that 8 to 9%. I mean, it was right there on the DGS2 chart. That's Delta Golf Sierra 2. That's the 2-year constant maturity rate chart. We can show that in a minute. And big news coming up. Halving event. The Bitcoin halving event is like 10 days away. 10 days away. And, of course, when we get there, we'll do 30 minutes of your request. Hold off on that. Don't throw a request out there until I get to that point. I don't want to lose it in the chat. So, and if you're not able to chat, you're like watching this, you're like, hey, while I'm live, you can chat and make requests. You got to be a subscriber on the channel. So you got to hit the button right over there or right down here, the green logo thing. Hit that, be a subscriber, and then you can pop up the live chat just a few seconds afterwards. It takes like a second or two for the system to realize it, but that's the only requirement. You just got to be a subscriber, and I got to be live. So if you missed the show tonight, I'll be live again 9:15 tomorrow morning, and pretty much every morning the market's open, and even like weekdays when the market's not open. Alrighty, so we have our normal disclaimer. All trading involves a substantial risk of loss. Imagine that. Past performance not necessarily indicative of future results. That means I might never get another prediction right again. That would kind of suck, but it's the truth. And this presentation intended to be informational, educational, fun, and entertaining. It is not a recommendation to buy or sell anything. All right, don't buy stocks, don't buy options, don't buy forex, don't buy futures, don't buy cryptos, don't buy bonds, don't buy treasuries. Don't long them, don't short them, don't trade them. Simple as that. All right, you may and probably will lose money. I mean, think about it. Every trade, there's a winner, there's a loser. Somebody's buying, somebody's selling, somebody's losing. There's like a 50-50 chance you're on the wrong side of that baby, just by default, right? A winner and a loser. Unless you give yourself an edge, which is what I'm here to attempt to do. And if you need personal financial advice, you got to hire and consult a financial advisor. It's not what I do. All right, just not my bag, baby, as Austin Powers says. Notably missing from the chat is any of my family, like my lovely wife, Kimberly. I don't even see her. Imagine that. Anyway, alrighty. So as I was saying, CPI coming out first thing tomorrow. We're going to get the core and the regular and the year over year. And I kind of expect this. I mean, we're expecting a 3.4, which is a little tick up, actually. So we're expecting a little tick higher. And then there she is. I see her. And I don't know. Maybe we run a little hotter. 3.5, 3.6. There you are. I see you now. I see you, baby. All right. And I don't know. I think we, as the as I was talking about this morning, there's a whole big hullabaloo on X, formerly known as Twitter, about the fact that there's it's not a rumor, but it's being purported as a rumor, started by Zero Hedge and other people, that the immigration is keeping inflation under control. It's not a rumor. Like, Jerome Powell actually said it on the record. So it's not any kind of rumor. Like, Jerome Powell acknowledged it in the last couple of weeks. So the only thing keeping inflation at bay is the cheap labor coming in to the United States via immigration. But how long does that last? Are they able to keep it at bay? Like, is this just something going through that we're trying to do through the election? Or is it something that we're trying to keep cooking past the election? I don't know. I think we're highly likely to do a second wave here. That's the way. I think they're attempting to curb the second wave, but you know what happens when you curb an unstoppable force, it just gets worse. Like, that's what's going to happen. This inflation second wave is going to be worse, and the fallout is going to be worse. I mean, we're talking potential Greater Depression. Now, this potential Greater Depression, this is not something that's going to happen today or tomorrow, this is going to happen. It's going to be like a snowball effect. Like, we won't even realize that we're going down the hill until we're really going down the hill, and it's not going to be fixable kind of down the hill. So I'm going to try to keep abreast of when I think the market's done. The first move down may be kind of weird, and then we retrace, and it seems like everything's going to be okay, and then we may go down violently. That's kind of how I think it's going to play out. So we need to be very careful here, and if you're trading, make sure you keep up. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you hit the bell with the notifications so you keep up track of this stuff. If I'm speaking your kind of language. If I'm not, well, that's cool too. I mean, you don't have to watch, but I'm going to keep doing this. I love doing this, and I'm going to keep you abreast of the situation as we develop it. And, you can rewind back to, I think it was 21. No, 21, 22, 2022. So almost 2 years ago. Right around June. Yeah. I got my timeline right. I put out a video that basically said we were in a recession. You can keep saying we're not, but we've kind of started one, and it just keeps ebbing and flowing through the market. I think they're covering it up with the immigration and all these, like, this government spending. While, natural born, you can look at the FERD or FRED or whatever you call it, natural born U.S. citizen employment is like flat. Immigration is all the jobs that we've been adding. Like, immigrated people immigrated to this country are the ones that have got the new jobs. All the job creation is in those imported people. Natural born citizens actually losing jobs. So it's just not there. I don't know. Whew. Yeah, ray of sunshine, I tell you. Full of good news. It's still raining out here, too. It rained yesterday during the eclipse, rained today. Just not awesome. All right. So, anyway, I was talking about that GGS2. Here's the chart right here. And a couple alerts popping up. See, this is what I'm talking about. I drew this a year ago. Look up there. Look, right there. I drew it right on the chart. You see this right here? Look, right up here. Right there. Right there. Draw a big, put a flashing arrow on it, but right there. I drew that we probably going to go, we probably going to go up there. We're probably going to head up to that spot. The Fed went a little higher than I thought we might. I haven't adjusted my lines since I drew them. I drew them right back here around February of last year. I thought we would chug sideways, and then we'd have to embark on a move higher again. Well, potentially we're going to do that. So got to keep an eye on this DGS2. If we break above the Fed rate, and keep an eye on it. This is one you can do yourself. You're like, JT, how do I make this chart? Pop up TradingView, tradingview.com. free account. Step 1. Step 2, go to Super Charts. It's up here at the top, and right here under products, Super Charts. You can click on it right there. I mean, and this heat map is another product right down here. Stock heat maps right there. So if you're interested in that, but Super Charts, you pop up Super Charts. You type in DGS2 right there, Delta Golf CR2. That is the 2-year constant maturity rate. And then you'll get this blue line right here. This blue line. You're like, well, how do I get the orange line? So you click this button right here, compare or add symbol. You type in FED, FUNDS, right there. Type it in to this box, FED, FUNDS, right like that. Hit enter, and it's magically delicious. Pops on your chart right there. Now, if you want the lines drawn on there, you'll have to use the tools, the drawing tools, to draw your own lines. These are my lines and my labels. Now, why is this important? Well, in my trading history, with real money trading, that started back here in the late 90s. I was right about there's the time I was able to open a real money trading account. Now, I was naive and didn't even know this chart existed until more recently, but this event happened. You remember what happened around the year 2000? Big market pullback that we aptly call the dot-com bust. Then we went down, and that was our first bout of kind of zero interest rate policy. We kind of called it that. I got lucky and was able to buy a house almost like virtually right there, right at the bottom of interest rates. And then we went through this, the housing boom, and then the great financial crisis. And we went down again. And we sat down here for a good long time. And we sat here, and we sat here, and we sat here. And somewhere around 2013, I bought another property that became the farm property and refinanced my house and got another awesome rate. And then we came on across. We got this where they started raising the rates. And then the market freaked out again. And this one didn't cause like a crash, but it caused a freak out in the market that lasted a couple months. And then we got a little reprieve. And then we went into COVID. And we bottomed out. And we stayed at the zero interest rates for a little while. And then we raised at the fastest rates ever. Instead of raising on one of these nice, gentle moves right here, we went straight the freak up, trying to control that inflation that got sneaky and jumped away. So now that leads us to right now. But the moral of the story, every time this orange line has crossed above the blue line, and if you thought the Fed was the one setting the rates, then the market sets the rates and the Fed chases. But sometimes the Fed overchases, and every time in the history since I've been trading, when the orange line crosses above the blue, it's a ticking time bomb before we get some sort of market freakout. Happened here, happened here, happened here, and it's going to happen over here, but I think it might happen up here, not here. So we may actually prolong this out till 25 or 26, get higher rates before we do this. So watch out for that. All right. There you go. One more time, I've been through it. I go through this every couple weeks. That's the whole story. If you got questions, ask them in the chat. But we're going to move on for now. Moving on. And as I talked about, we have, and in the description of the video, we have this Bitcoin halving event coming up. We have about 10 days left. 10 days and 2 hours. So we're looking at April 19th. It's a Friday. And about 7 o'clock in the evening, roughly. And this will probably move around a little bit. We gave up a little bit of Bitcoin since this morning. About $2,000 or $3,000. $2,000-ish. But here's the real story. All right, we're going to adjust this difficulty in about 24 hours. Roughly, right at 24 hours from now. So this we're running 71 blocks ahead. We'll probably be a little further ahead, and we're going to adjust the difficulty of Bitcoin. Now, you might be like, how do we adjust it? Well, the Bitcoin algorithm actually adjusts its own difficulty every so many blocks. I'm trying to remember how many blocks it is. And it's like, so I think it's right at 2050 or so blocks. It readjusts the difficulty, and every that many blocks. And it's roughly every 2 weeks is how it happens. If we're running ahead, like we are right now, it gets harder to mine Bitcoin. If we're running behind when we get there, then the difficulty adjusts easier. So right now we're looking at about 4% bump in the difficulty of Bitcoin. And this makes it different than gold. Like mining Bitcoin is fundamentally different from gold because every commodity, not just gold, but every commodity out there, the solution to higher prices is higher prices. So like when the price of gold goes up, that encourages more people to mine gold, and it increases the supply of gold and basically takes care of the shortage of gold, if it's actually a shortage problem. Same for oil, same for silver and copper, and you name it. The solution for higher prices. Now, while it may have a large lag, like on cattle or things like that, you can't corn. It's like a season or two. You can't just instantly plant more corn if we're light on corn this year. Cattle, you can't just make more cows, but the higher prices do encourage more people to participate in that market, and eventually supply takes care of itself. So that's the way it kind of works. And Bitcoin, though, like higher prices in Bitcoin encourage more people to mine, but the difficulty, like you can only add that supply for 2 weeks, and then the difficulty of mining Bitcoin is going to adjust to account for your new hash rate that you bought and put into place in the work. So unless you take the next 2 weeks off and let the difficulty drop, which there's no guarantee it will, you have no ability to achieve scale. Like more money put into mining Bitcoin doesn't get you anywhere. Like it's a diminishing return situation. There's no other commodity like this. So it's an interesting situation. And it's one of those that, like I said, it's unlike any other commodity. And for the first time ever, the scarcity of Bitcoin after this next halving that's coming up right here in 10 days, the creation of new Bitcoins will be half the rate that we actually mine gold at this point. When you look at it like as a finite supply. And it's going to get, it's going to approach infinity because there's only 21 million Bitcoins as, over the next 140 years. As we approach that 21 millionth Bitcoin, the emission rate drops lower and lower and lower every 4 years or so. The difficulty, what do I mean by difficulty? So when you try to solve Bitcoins, when you try to solve all these transactions, there's a certain number you have to come up with, and it's padding, number of zeros in front of the solution. And so they increase the number of zeros required is what the algorithm does to make it harder to guess the correct number that solves the block. Basically it keeps it about 10 minutes. So in the beginning, any number that you guessed could solve a block. Now it has to be padded with so many zeros before it, that the actual solution has to be padded with a bunch of zeros before it will authenticate the block. So that difficulty ramps up and down as a requirement for the solution. That's what I mean by difficulty. So it's an interesting thing. They use SHA-256 to authenticate the blocks. So in the beginning, the Genesis block, way back 15 years ago, any number at all could satisfy that. But as soon as we started having people compete for solving blocks, the difficulty kicked in. And the more computers, the more power trying to solve the blocks, the faster we were going, the difficulty would ramp up and slow it back down so that it took about 10 minutes to figure out a block. It's about as simple as I can make it. All right. You think about it, there's a long freaking number that authenticates the transaction. I'm not even sure that they probably, yeah, here it is. Like you can see it, the hash right there. Let's see if it'll show it to me. Let's put it on the clipboard. Let's see. Clipboard. Where's my clipboard or text document? Not gonna make this easy, huh? I see how you are. Let's just pop over here. Look at this. Let's just pan this over and use a text tool. So check this out. Here's the hash I just copied. There you go. See all those zeros? 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. So that's the difficulty right there. You can see it. So when the difficulty gets harder, it requires more zeros in the front of this. When it gets easier, it requires less zeros. Interesting, huh? And that's how long, you see all those numbers, that's how long a hash number is for Bitcoin. So it's 256 bytes. So the number of bytes or bits, I guess 256 bits, excuse me. The number of bits required in the front to be 0, adjust the difficulty. Learned something new here today. All right. That's cool. I learned something. I didn't know you could just click on the block and see it right here. This is a handy dandy tool. Mempool.space, if you want to play around with the Bitcoin numbers and stuff. You can actually see the transactions included in the block. All these over here. See what the block was supposed to be and what it ended up being. There you go. So, kind of interesting. And down here you can see all the transactions and who transferred how much Bitcoin in that block. And this is why it's all called the blockchain, because it's a chain of transactions. It's created in blocks every 10 minutes, a block of transactions, and it's a chain. Every future block is dependent on what happened in the prior blocks. So you can't, it basically eliminates the double spend problem, because it's a consensus mechanism that everything has to be accounted for in every block. Interesting, right? That's how it prevents money creation or double spending or a lot of the problems that we've had with digital currencies before Bitcoin was envisioned. So this is block number 838,506 forever. We're looking for that magic number 840,000. That is the halving block. That's when the reward for calculating a block drops from 6.25 Bitcoins down to 3.125 Bitcoins. So that's coming up pretty quickly. 10 days, in fact. Been waiting for this for 4 years. I'm excited. It's coming. It's coming. We have no way to stop it at this point. I guess bar shutting all the hashing down worldwide. So today we get a big doji candle. Big sucky doji candle. And we look on the lower time frame here. We tried to break down and quickly retraced right back up into it. And one big spike down, right back up in there, and ended up kind of sideways. What the heck? What the heck? Anyway, I think they should use Tesla's 369 and break it. Hey, whatever. Anyway, let's review a few things here. I think this was a rip it this morning, and we're probably going to see. We're still inside this big correction over here. I think we're going to see a pop tomorrow on CPI. I think this was a flush and a little micro flush, and we're about to see a rip tomorrow, especially with the way this closed. I think the anticipation, as the market tell, we're probably going to see a rip higher on the CPI tomorrow morning. That could push us right up into this zone, the target right up here around 53.70. Right, JT, how do I play this? Well, when the futures open back up, you could buy futures options. If you didn't know, they trade 24/7. If you have an account enabled with futures options, you could trade futures options and be prepared. Otherwise, you're late, baby. That's the long and the short of it. But that's what we got right now. It looks like we're going to pop. Probably going to head right up into new all-time high. 53.70 on the futures. That puts us roughly 5,300 on S&P cash index right here. And yes, there's a slight bit of difference between the futures, roughly $51 at the close. $51 difference between the futures and S&P. Now, futures work, if you're familiar on options, ES1 exclamation point minus SPX right here. You can kind of see this is, well, I got to put it on a daily chart. This is the difference in the contracts. Now, today we had one of the highest, or this contract rollover. Futures contracts last about 3 months for the active contract, and we approach no difference between S&P 500 and the cash index. The futures and the cash index, we approach zero difference as we get near expiration each time on the contracts. We do have a rollover that occurs just a week or so before the contract expires, and it puts us, this is contango, and when we get it dropping the other way, which there are some back here, when it drops the other way, that's backwardation. All right, much more common to see backwardation on VIX, less common to see it on the S&P 500. But there you go. And you may not have known that VX1 exclamation point minus VIX right here. You can see this one's a lot more choppy, but we'll get some backwardation in here where it actually drops negative and comes back up on the futures. This is what they call backwardation in contango when you hear about them using futures for options prices and stuff like that. So there you go. That's VIX all over the place. We used to have these large downside, and then they come back up. That was especially during COVID. Got this large downside that came back up to zero. That was opportunity to make money right there. So that's one reason that right there is one thing that propelled SVXY so high. And this you could say propensity to get some backwardation is why SVXY tends to go up over time. It's also why UVXY tends to be a declining asset, and VXX. It's that backwardation factor where it goes negative on the contract rollover. Alrighty, learned something new again today. Dun, 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 dun. So in Q, this morning I was speculating that we may rally up and try to backtest this channel that we broke out of. We still haven't done that. We got a little flash down and ended up closing with a green doji. And ES ended up with just barely a green doji. It looks like almost a spinning top, whatever they call that. And it's interesting. That was indecision, major indecision. Pop down, pop up, and close almost flat. I guess it started up high and then dropped down and closed flat. That's, at the end of the day, we stayed in the range. Didn't break out, didn't break down, just held it. Didn't confirm anything. I think that was a flush out. Flushing out, people, before we rip it higher. Flushing out the longs. I've seen this behavior before. Seen it before. See it again. This is what we got here. Looks like we may pop up here if we get back in the channel. Probably rally to the top of the channel. It could be up here around 19.7 on Nasdaq. You may be like, Nasdaq, 19.7. How do I trade that? Just divide by 41. You get your QQQ number, or you could look at QQQ. It's been in the same channel, and right there, kind of poke down under. We're kind of a little closer to retracing to the bottom. Like when you connect up these lows up through here, we're a little closer to back testing the actual QQQ channel than we are to retracing to the NQ channel. Russell, now QQQ doesn't trade 24 or 23.5 like NQ does. So Russell here, this one came down right near the bottom of the channel, kind of bounced a little bit, still holding under that 618. And that still sets a bearish bias to this setup right now. We could see a bigger retrace and an outsized retrace to the down. This is IWM for the ETF that you could trade. So there you go. There's SPY, QQQ, and IWM. That kind of gets us the broad market, big tech market, and the small caps. That's, to me, that's pretty much the market. You know, people are like, why don't you watch the Dow? It's because it's so manipulated. It doesn't really mean anything to me. I don't find it that informative if it doesn't mean anything because of all the manipulations and changes in the price. So all the adjustments they make when they add something or take something away from the Dow, it just makes it not really meaningful as far as using it to trade with or figure out anything in the market. So IWM still riding this channel here. This uptrend of lows. If we break down below it, that's the first warning. We're coming down here, potentially down here. And if we get below that, we could end up down here in the 150 to 130 area down here. So be careful on that one. If it starts breaking down, keep support in mind. And oil just churning right at my 86 targets. I expect this to pop up to 90 at this point if we're just going to hold on here. If we break down back below this breakout area, you can see it was kind of a flip point in the chart too. If we get back below this spot right here, see we're finding highs here, finding a low here, finding a high here, finding a high there, break it above, could back test it. If we get below it, probably going lower again. But if we hold above it, 90 is the target for now. And then 100 above that. 104 actually. So, I don't see. VIX presents as the market pulls back. So if they decide they're going to do some kind of rate cut thing, then VIX is going to explode, and you know that then we have opportunities to trade VIX. But right now VIX is just kind of and I don't really have a high conviction opportunity or high conviction anything for VIX right now. I did. I bought a very small position on SVXY on that dip last week, right there, last Thursday. Bought a little position, and it hasn't really moved much. Up a couple bucks, but I didn't buy a big position, just bought a couple of contracts. And I bought them out to May, I think it was. And we do have a split coming up. That'll mess with it. 2-for-1 split in SVXY. That's always not awesome. But that ought to make it more price responsive again. So this is, we do periodically get splits, and these aren't reverse splits. That's the good thing here. It's such a regular split, not a reverse split. So we'll see what happens there. Gonna make my 100 contract options worth 200 contracts. That's probably what we're getting muted. That's probably why it's not running very much, because that happens on Thursday. So then gold. I'm thinking we might get a retrace here. I'm not feeling the most sparky on gold right now. This is that was a heck of a move. We got up here pretty darn close. We may push it one more time, hit the 2400, then we may get a negative reaction. Very cautious right now on gold. That was one heck of a push higher. I mean, we took, looking at the infinity market cap over here, we took gold from 14 trillion to 15.5 trillion in just a matter of a few weeks. So how many trillions can we add before we get a pullback? And if you're NVIDIA, it's been a few. You know, we've added like 1 trillion to it, and we're just kind of hovering. So I don't know. I have no solid answer, but we also could see gold go on a mega rally as world. It may be telling us that worldwide currencies are all deflating together, or inflating, you might say. It's a worldwide inflation. If the price of gold worldwide goes up to some crazy amount, and historically, gold has represented 5% of all asset prices, and right now we're running at like 0.5, or maybe it's 0.05. I don't know. It's like down around 0.5%. So a gold price around 25,000 would put this back up to, just in the U.S. we're talking about 300 and something $trillion worth of assets. So if we did the math on that, 5% of, let's see here, find my calculator back up here. Yeah, there it was. So we're talking about 300 trillion and times 0.05, 5%. Maybe 15 trillion. You know, that's just, yeah. So yeah, we're sitting roughly 5% of U.S. assets, but worldwide assets, that's a big number. So there you go. That's just, you know, you wonder how you get to this place. 8 market cap, infinity market cap. Alrighty, I have 18,000 assets listed. Bum, 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 bum. Bitcoin, retracing a little bit today. Kind of thought we might do that. I was kind of cautious about that yesterday. The way we went up right here, just it made me think we were going to get a bit of a retrace. Now, coming back into the fibs, that low, this high, we're right in the zone where we want to hold. We do not want to get below. Do not want to get below this area right here, right around 68,000. We want to hold this 69,000 where we popped right here. We want to hold that. It's just a back test, and then we want to go higher, a lot higher, like 77,000. That's where I want to see this go. So right now, that's what I'm watching. That's where we are. And that's it. We've got the halving event, and we're sitting right above support. We break support, something else is playing out. Maybe something not awesome. Right now, just holding a higher level of support. We've got this trend line cooking over here. Uptrend of lows, kind of like that, which just happens to correspond right in there. So we want to hold that and go higher. Ethereum, on the other hand, rejected that 618 and may go lower. This is a bearish setup. That bearish setup can point us right down in here, about 2,600. Dollar hanging out, not really doing much today, not really indicating what it's doing at all. We may see that 618 retrace in full. Trying to zoom this up. Right now we're holding above the roadmap line on the daily. Could push down into the 618 zone of this whole move up from February up through April. And look at that. I guess it was actually March, excuse me. March through April. And retrace right there. That's the support. Resistance, the target above, up here at 105.50-ish, right up there. There you go. All right. And let's pop onto the red list and hit a few more of the futures before we wrap into requests. Hold on. Don't do requests yet. Give me a second. Gasolina. Breaking out. We have this last little gap down thing to contend with right over here. We get above that. It's game on. Prices could go mega higher. We're talking mega higher. Not even just a little bit higher. We're like mega. This is going to hurt kind of higher. Next resistance up here at 340, 350 area. Right here. And if we get above that, we're talking extensions to $5. And this is wholesale prices, not retail prices. The target, once we get above that 350 area, talking about a rally right up there. Ouch. And heating oil, I'll do a request in a minute. You're too early on the request. Just a minute. And heating oil, which is diesel fuel, bouncing off the roadmap line. That's still bearish if we watch for that to break above. If we do, game on for being bullish. But right now, still hitting our head on the roadmap line right there. Link is in the description if you want that thing. If you want the code for that, or you can go watch my YouTube video that has that. Natural gas, just turning sideways. I kind of expect it to dip one more time, but we may actually do this sideways rally thing back up here through October, and then do that final push down. And gold, we already covered. Silver is pretty smoking hot. Kind of warned everybody, once we got there, we were going to see a pop. And silver, my price target's way on up there too. Silver's not even like gold, looks pretty extended, but silver has a ways to go. We're talking 35 first target, 42 target above that, And then we could be talking much higher prices beyond that. We're like 70% likely to go up here. So this thing could get sparky all of a sudden. All of a sudden. So watch out. Silver has a huge opportunity to move to the upside. Copper doing a kind of a double top thing here. Very cautious right now on copper. Copper could pull back while we see other things rallying. Of course, copper could be breaking out, but not confirmed yet. We're still in this resistance, and this resistance goes all the way up to the top right there. That high from back there in June of 22. Then, if we break above that, we're heading on up to 550, possibly 6. All right. There's other features on here. There's other cryptos. There's other things. Now, here's the deal. 1 ticker per person, per request. You have to type in all caps, please. Type the full ticker. If you're requesting a crypto, it'd be like BTCUSD. You have one word, one ticker, one all together. So I know it's a crypto. If you just type, if you type some obscure name crypto, I may or may not know it as a crypto. So you got to give me the whole ticker that I can look up in TradingView, and please, to help move this along, then 1 request per person. Don't give me a list, and then let somebody else go before you make a request. And preferably 2 people or 3 people go before you make another request. So that's how this will go. And I'll kind of hang out here until I get as many as I possibly can, or I get so tired or have to go to the bathroom. TLT is potentially going to test support right down at the bottom of the box. Then we're at the top of the box, and we may push down to the bottom of the box right down here around 89, 90 area. I have this alert already set. And if we get below that, though, below that box, below that where we consolidated over there and over here, we could push to a lower low on TLT. That'd be pretty shocking for a lot of people, I think. Mara is just churning right at the roadmap line. Just sitting here, not doing a thing. Not doing anything. Say quiet, don't spook it right there. We're just sitting there. And if it can pop out of the zone, we haven't made a lower low yet. This was the lowest low right back here. We're still sitting potentially bullish. And we may make a slightly lower low and then reverse quickly. I don't know. This is not, hadn't confirmed anything. We don't really want to get below this 1450 area. That would be a not so good situation. But rewind, like 6 months, 8 months, I said we were going to rally in front of halving, and then we're going to pull back into halving on the miners, and that's exactly what we're doing. Probably pull back into the halving, and then we'll see what happens. Now, it could sit lackluster for 6 months, 8 months, all the way till December even, maybe October, before we get sparky. So just hold on to your hats here. We may do a consolidation for a little bit before we get sparky again. I just want to throw that out there. That's potential. Something I talked about for months, that we would see a rally in front of halving and then a pullback. And that's exactly what this did. Rallied here, and then it's just kind of gotten meh. And we're seeing meh all across different miners. Now, if we can get above 28, that's a long way up from here. We're at like 17, 18 right now. Above 28, this really tips the odds. We're going up to 38, 44, possibly much higher targets, but that's beyond the scope here. We need to get up to 28 first. All right. F Ford has kind of pushed above this little consolidation it was doing. Popped above, back tested, back tested twice, pushing up, has potential to actually go, maybe, possibly. We did this long consolidation thingy back here. We're finally pushing above. We've got resistance right up here. Right up in this zone. If we can break above that, up above that $14, $15 area, we could give an extension finally. That would be quite amazing. The next resistance up there at 1587 roughly. I gotta correct that just a little bit for those dividends really mess with the chart on this one. So yeah, looking at that, I'd say 18 area. If we can get above that 18 area, probably confirms we're going on up to 32, possibly 45. It's got a lot to do between here and there though. And then once we get above that, game on. SCHW. Schwab. Looks like short. This smaller intermediate bounce, 74 79 resistance. If we're doing the bigger bounce, probably gonna head right up here back to all-time highs. The bigger picture move. That's Schwab for you. S-Bucks. That finally hit my downside target. Look at that. Look at that. Holding support right here. This is the downside target I've been looking for since October. Sometimes I get lucky. Now, if we break below this, though, so we've got support down to about 84. We get below that, could be a move on down to 78. And if we get below that 78 area, that's where it looks no bueno. Could go down to 55. So we could accelerate the downside. We really need to hold this area right here. So this was the target that I wanted to see hold support. If we hold this support, this can turn very bullish. Scale this back and show you how bullish I'm talking about. We could be talking from going from 87 here up to 194. That's what kind of bullish. Now, above the roadmap line kind of indicates that this is probably going to play out. We could find resistance on the way, 140, 160, 194. And how long? Well, that could take a while. We could be talking 2026. Could be a big move if you bought shares. Could be late 26 too. I might be a little aggressive there. See, this is kind of a nested setup. We had this move up, we had this retrace, we had a move up, we had a retrace, and we could kick off a bigger move. And it could even exceed my 194 target. That's what we've got cooking on Starbucks. Already did Mora. Please don't repeat if you can help it. And the list got long. SMCI. Nice. Got 100 people here. And still the same thing. Expecting the retrace. This is the pattern that I talk about right here. See this consolidation? This complacency? We just need it. We just need to cool off a little bit before we get the next rally. I've heard that already on SMCI. Watch out. We may do a big down. Could do a big retrace. And this could take a while. I mentioned you need to go out as far as you possibly can if you're going to play the downside. It can take longer. You know, the consolidation here can take longer, but eventually we're probably going to retrace back down to this zone at least. Right back over here. If not, going on down to where we consolidated down here. So watch out. Watch out, watch out. I'm telling you. Be careful. That correction can take a while. You know, just for example, let's look at this one. Dun, 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 dun. Not monthly. Look how long this one took. We popped, and it took a long time. All right. That can take a while. It's been nothing but down ever since. See that giant pop? And retrace. And here's another one. Giant pop. And we haven't even got back down yet. We did do a split in here, though, so it messed with the numbers. All right. Moving on. Be careful on SMCI. OXY. Yeah, nothing's changed, though. OXY attempting to break out. Finally. Just clear all this stuff. After this long freaking consolidation. Lower low. Breaking above the 618 level. Can this hold? Time's going to tell, but looks like we're set to go to 83, possibly 94. And if we get excited as we've seen on like CVX and stuff like that, we could be up here like 130. Be pretty exciting for a lot of people. MSTR looks like it's coming back to the roadmap line pretty swiftly right here. Same situation. We may consolidate a little bit before we get the final push. We had the same pattern here. Flush back down. We had the same pattern right here. Flush back down. No reason to expect it to do anything different but the same pattern on a bigger scale because we went up higher. We had upside resistance and coming back down. CAVA. Kava. Don't have, I mean, I've only got like that many bars of a roadmap line, so it doesn't really help me much. do much, but we're breaking below those lows there. Cautious. Yeah, very cautious at this point. That can lead to a bigger retrace. Be careful on Kava. And wave USD. T, throw in the tether. And I don't get anything. Wave, there, it's going to be that one. There we go. A long way to resistance hanging out right up here. Potentially going to bounce off that roadmap line. Did it before, 580, $7 on the upside. That's not the kind of crypto moves I like to get involved in. Didn't do that perfectly. I like to go for the 2 or 3, 500% gainers, not the just maybe a double, maybe not even a double. Anyway, I mean, right there, there's your short-term resistance, bigger term resistance right up there. And SLB, Schlumberg is just hanging in the middle here. It's a big sideways consolidation. Here's the range we set right here. May 23, topped out. September 23, kind of ignored as the market pulled back, we kind of got this rally. And we're sitting almost right in the middle. Roadmap line's kind of like downward sideways-ish. Just, this chart doesn't say to me, hey, we're going higher. Especially since we're under. We did find support at this. We pushed a little deeper than I like to see. We're below the 618 right now. And this might be set up for. We may go down one more flush. This move, this resistance, we may go down back to the bottom of the box. Wouldn't that be a trip? You see what I did there? That first move down, high to low, bring it over to that 618 retrace right there, project it off the bottom. That may be where we're headed on the SLB. DOCS, Doximity has a large gap resistance right there from that. We've almost filled it. We've got that left to work through. That's the lowest low. Ugh, ugly. As long as we're holding above this zone right here. Probably going to go test that. But if we start breaking below this, watch out for 17, possibly 14 on the downside. I'll talk about IPOs being bearish. Look at that. Lower low. All right. C for Citibank. Earnings. Warning. Earnings coming up here on Friday. What would I expect? Well, at this point, that looks like it could use a retrace. Not surprise me one bit to see us pop on the market and then drop when financials report earnings. Remember, this will be the first earnings since the banking borrowing window thing, the emergency lending facility ended. We don't know what kind of problems with liquidity this has caused in banks yet. You may be like, oh, that's just the regionals, but watch out. We are on this bigger correction here. We're still hanging out at the 618. That can still lead us to a bigger downside. Haven't confirmed anything yet. ZN1, exclamation points. Easing on down, getting into the danger zone. That can lead to a bigger drop. Be very cautious right now on that one. Tagged it. Lower high, lower high, lower high. As long as we're below that roadmap line, we could go lower. that bit lower. Puts us down here. Possibly to 103.03. That'd be a trip, wouldn't it? All right. PayPal. Still consolidating. Hasn't broken above the resistance. We have this big gap down. Resistance. Hanging right over here. We haven't been able to close it. Until we do. Bias is still down. I had a 42 target. We got freaking close at 50. And just been hanging. We tagged that target, bounced up, came close to the roadmap line, and just rode the roadmap line down. Finally getting a little bit of something, but we could easily flush that down one more time. And I just moved my alert. I can move alerts so easy. Can't move an oval worth a darn, but I can move an alert. AG without even trying. AG has this resistance right above us. Has no indication that we're done on the downside yet. Could ride with silver. Ride or die. That was the lowest low. Sure, it looks like the lowest low. I mean, that's splitting hairs there. It's not going to prove we're going up till we get a move up, a retrace, and I mean, you can buy it. You can make your own choices. But this is not a high probability setup for me, and I'm probably not chasing it. So it's just not the chart pattern I go for. MCD finally did the 618 retrace and found support today. Yesterday, today. This is so beautiful. Wrongimer, if you're watching. This is what you've been waiting for, my man. This retrace. This is a measured bounce setup. This is different than the roadmap bounce setup that I talk about all the time. A little bit different use of fibs. I usually look for them in conjunction with the roadmap bounce. It didn't quite hold the roadmap bounce here, but this sets us up to at least the minimum. Come visit this area right up here on the next move. Assuming we get back above the roadmap line, probably going right up in here. Right up in here. 326 to 345. Right there. So that activation point, breaking above that roadmap line right there. Once we get above that 144, 169 EMA area, that's what the roadmap line is. Probably heading on up here. Alrighty. CRM, Salesforce. Final resistance, breaking the prior high. 70% likely we're going to go up to 360. Right up there. It's like here's support at the roadmap line. Here's resistance right here. Not a big potential mover. Like 60 bucks up, maybe 60 bucks down, 40 bucks down. Be careful. Meta. And it just keeps chugging. Can we get there before earnings? I don't know. Don't have long to go. Earnings may propel it right up into that target zone. When we got to this point right here, I drew 3 paths, and this was off of the small consolidation here. We got the extension target. So we're either going to kind of go on this path up here, go sideways consolidation, and then pop, or retrace. And it looks like we just took path A. Grind it higher, baby. Right there's the resistance right up at 570, 569-ish. I wouldn't expect outsize anything. Retrace might be in order. So I just very cautious. I mean, look at the move. Look at the move this thing did. A massive move up. Massive. Went from 91 to 500. A retrace very well may be in order. Now we could go on up to 945. Entirely possible. Just go cruising right on up there. It probably gonna take a while, but ON. The market's open already. 6 o'clock. Wow. I was long-winded in the monologue, I guess. ON still hanging right at support. We break below it. 56. Riot. Looks like a piece of garbage right now. Probably heading down to $7. And AAL. Sideways. Just doing nothing. Sideways consolidation. Right on the roadmap line. When these things do this, I don't expect it to do much for the foreseeable future. It can just keep bouncing in here until it decides to do something. But it's set the range back here. That's almost right in the middle. And it's just consolidating right in the middle of that range. And it kind of consolidated here before it did that heartbeat. Not awesome. PLAY, Dave and Buster's. Choo. That one was breaking out last week. And the breakout continues. Got the all-time high right up here. I believe that's the all-time high. Yeah. Looking for that break at the all-time high before it makes a bigger move. How much bigger move? Flip this up to a weekly so I can get it all. That was the lowest low right there. See the IPO and bearishness. So that's the lowest low. But if we were able to climb back out of this, possibly 163, that'd be a pretty nice move. But it's got to get above that all-time high. As long as it stays below that, we could go back down pretty deeply. I would be cautious until it breaks above. It's not really guaranteed to do anything at this point. Low probability. GNRC went for the extension, failed. Popping back up. I guess technically that qualifies as the lower low. We have now moved up. Retraced. Didn't hit any fib lines. It doesn't give me high confidence for doing any kind of work here. Yeah, it's not a measure. It's not a measured bounce. It's not really anything. Yeah, 139, 149, and that just happens to be the prior high. So that's what I got right now. Resistance there. We get above that. We could maybe look for something else. Still a bearish, somewhat bearish choppiness right at the bottom here. Hate to say it. Google. My target was 161. We almost hit it. Almost hit it. It's just a roadmap bounce. 161 targets. Then retrace and a push on up to potentially 169. Simple as that. RYCEY. RYCEY. Got it. Rolls Royce. And there's nothing under $5 or under $10. I can't really do much with. They don't follow the patterns, and it's just straight up. We do have resistance back here where we used to consolidate. Up at $10. Maybe. Then keep on the path. Maybe come back up there, that 10 to $13 area. Otherwise, I don't got much for you. Don't really trade stuff under $10 because it doesn't really follow the patterns that much. If you do, it's me trying to second guess the market. Apple probably going to touch this box sooner or later. One of these days. There you go. That's kind of been the target I've held for weeks. Just barely above it. Just hovering. Kind of expect a flush. It may happen on earnings. We may finally do a flush and go. Otherwise, drift down until it finally hits that. And INFA, not one I recognize. Prior high. There's your resistance right there. That move. We've got resistance at 42 above that. Watch out for that right there. May result in a retrace. If we tag that, could bring us right back down. That could. Doesn't have to. Could. That'd be what I would watch out for. DLTR. Potential. I really wanted to see that hit that 618 level just a little bit lower at 121. it may have a little bit more downside left in it that pushes it to that final target there. Got an alert hitting there, sitting there just above it. I was really looking for that. If this is all we hold, we may pop up here, up to here. Say all the words, JT. 83, 183. If we could get that little push down, it would give me confidence that maybe we're going on up to the maybe 200 area. That's what we got right now. And PSN, Parsons, it's just up past any target, so I got nothing for you. Be careful on a retrace. It's probably going to do one at some point. And there's no further upside I can do with anything we've got at this point. Amazon is approaching the all-time high. It's within a couple bucks now. That's the resistance right there. I would watch out for a violent reaction. This has been lagging. Been lagging big tech for a long time. I didn't think we would just rally right up to the. I didn't think we'd just catch up without a bigger retrace. We did a nice retrace back here, and this kind of leaves it in a void at this point. Like, are we doing a? I don't know which move we're doing at this point. It's unclear until we get another retrace. But I expect a retrace, but we can just push on up higher and go for an extension. I mean, it's not like it's not due for one. 70% likely we're going to hit this up here. I just think we're going to do a retrace before we do, but we don't have to. We could just keep on trucking right up to that 236 area. In AVAX, you're looking for AVAX USD. If you can hold above this 618, and rejected so far, we can get above this, potentially 329. There you go. SIL. I have AVA. I have Avalanche. Waiting for that 329, possibly 800 target. Silver miners coming up right here. That resistance at that prior high. Can we break above? If we do, same pattern, same way. Target 36, possibly 41. Path. On the path with path. Retrace to the roadmap line. Just took a little longer to get there and a little higher, but we finally did it. Looking for a break above that 25 area to get 30, possibly 33 on the upside. And I actually might take that. We'll watch for that break above. I think that's like 25%. 20%. That'd be a 20% gain just on shares, roughly from here to here, possibly 25% up there. That's the kind of stuff I like right there. I can just trade shares. I don't even have to worry about the time frame. And then FTNT, TNT, consolidating still. That gap down is resistance until we get above. If we get above 98, until we get above, we could retrace back down here. 57. So resistance 75, support 57, target on the breakout 98, target on that breakdown 38. Big, wide potential. EXP is straight up with nothing. Not much I can do. Possibly 278, possibly 307, possibly get a retrace. J&J. It looks pretty bearish. Probably going on down the channel. It's the roadmap's down, the channel's down, everything's down. Probably just gonna keep chugging. Could, support's down here at 142 right now. And the longer we go, the further down that drops. Resistance right up here at the top of the channel. And down is the direction. Already did Google, GD. Missed anything, you can use the slider down here and rewinder. I didn't even notice them on the wrong side. There we go. GD. General Dynamics hit this morning. I mean, it's straight the freak up. And we're about to hit the 1618. We just glanced it right at 300. That can result in a retrace to the roadmap line. I just heard about this. Well, you're late. The entry was down here. That's late. Retrace. Whoa, I just skipped a bunch of stuff. There we go. DT. And that is bearish. This looks like it's going to do a 1, a 2, and 3. Does it have to do that? No, it doesn't have to do that, but that's why. See the 618 resistance? That's what it looked like. But JT, you drew the big down arrow before you drew the 618 resistance because that's what it looked like. Dynatrace. It might retrace. I wouldn't be surprised. Now, here's the... And we're already pushing below. Watch out. If we don't save this right now, like this is like... Could be. There could be support right here. But I think we're probably going down. That would be the target right in that 23 area. And lows. Failed to break out. Lame. Could be an ABC. But right now we're 70% likely to go tag that 287 until we break below this zone right here. If we break back below this trend line, it's probably going down here. As long as we hold up here, probably going up here. That would be the target. As long as we're above here, that's the target. If we get below here, oh, arrow, that's the target. Simple as that. DOCU is just stuck in this consolidation here. Potentially going to break out, make it a little, call that a bull flag, whatever. Usually extends the distance of the pole, I think. I don't know. I don't use this pattern. It just could push us up through that resistance we've been turning down at. That would be nice to see. So I got a lot of upside resistance lines drawn. And we bounced at the roadmap line, came up, consolidated right here. I bought aggressively here and dumped it here, and I'm not actually exposed to this right now. But oh look, did you see that? Before I deleted that, look right there. That bullish flag continuation puts us right at the 1272 target right there. That's a little funny. Sometimes it may work. So watch for that push right up to that 69 area right up there. How long? Gosh, I don't know. Out to June maybe. And EPD. It's at the resistance. We may get a retrace back down to 27. And already did Starbucks, TMO. Resistance is right up here. And support down here. There's your support. There's your resistance. And we're kind of playing in between. You see why that's resistance, right? Haven't been above that in 2-3 years. Huh? Anyway. Z for Zillow. So close. That could be the bottom. I would really, 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 really like to see this push down one more little push. I talked about this all the way back in January in the in-person event. That this looked like where it was going. It's crazy. Here we are, like 3 months later, almost to it. Same with BA. Like we talked about this in the in-person, that it looked like we were going to go down, and here we are. People are like, oh my gosh, I can't believe Boeing's this far down. Boeing's going to go out of business, blah, 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 blah. Watch, when we get here and it turns up and we start rallying, we can go up here. This was a 5-wave up right there. It was clear as day to me that we were probably going to turn down. Well, that was topping out. The turn down finishes up. Ideally, finishes up right down here, 160-ish. We could stop at 170-ish, but 160-ish makes this look a lot better. If we just go ahead and finish that up, we can move on with life on Boeing. And same with Zillow. If we would just go ahead and flush this on down, we can finish this up and get on with life on Zillow, because the target's up here at 89. I'd probably buy some shares. FCX. It's going to be popping on copper popping and everything else. All the metals. And we're right at the prior highs. Now, can this go bullish? Absolutely, we can go bullish. We've done the big retrace, excuse me. We went sideways and consolidated forever with lower highs, which looked like we were going to flush on down. And we push higher, pushing in this resistance. 63 is the upside target if we can get above that prior high. If you're bullish on your conviction, we definitely can get up there. And BP, British Petroleum. For all the awesomeness that is energy, this one just makes you wonder, makes you say, Until we get above these prior highs, it's not got the breakout. Got to get above those to go to 43, possibly 46. And it's carrying some baggage here on BP. SKL USD. I'm just going to go scale USD because that is easier to track. What do we have? Resistance right there. $14, $17. We'd really got to get some gusto to get up through the resistance there at up to 30. If we get above 30, like, then it looks like that'd be a wild ride, but above 30 could take it on up here. Let's set my alert there. Clear those highs. Maybe that consolidation could cause a problem. We'll see where we get to on scale. Carrie, my T-Roy, haven't seen you before, but welcome. Don't recognize your name. Make sure you subscribe. I guess you are since you're chatting. Welcome to the show. I do cover a lot of cryptos in Crypto Power Plays. Scale is not one of them, funny enough. Tend to stay in the top 100. And that looks like it could have been finished up here, but just consolidating right on the roadmap line. Not going anywhere yet. That high, that low. Resistance right there at the 51. Break above that, and the gap down right there adds a little extra layer of 57 and 60 on the upside. If we don't get above that, that could be a big 3-wave correction. We could go lower here. This might go way down. And we could be talking 30 here. So here's the support right there. Get below this. Might go down to 30. And that's carry for you. Kaba? C-A-B-A? Roadmap bounce. Classic. Resistance, 22. 30 is the target. 35 above that. And you're wrong, below 14. Amazon already did. BRK.B is hanging out right here at the extensions. Extensions of that move, the bigger move. Resistance at 438, right there. And AMD is going down to the roadmap line. Retracing. This is the target for now. Look at that. Look how they're coming together. See that coming across? This coming up. And we're going to meet in the middle. Do we find support there? Maybe. If we do, we can go up again. If we don't, watch out. Up again. Look at that. Right up there. 252, possibly 289, possibly 320. If we fail that, you'll be looking at this. That's AMD in a nutshell. SoFi is just consolidating on the roadmap line, not doing anything awesome. Stuck. There's the resistance. There's the support. We're stuck right in the middle. Nothing. BITO is just Bitcoin. I already did Bitcoin. It's just scaled and potentially going to extend, but doesn't have to do anything. 35 or the roadmap line. Simple as that. And PH. And it's just straight up. No, nothing. Can't tell you anything. Way past extensions. Probably going to get a retrace. Retraces have been violent. Watch out. Violent delights. The resistant or the support down here. Next upside resistance. Possibly 643. That's a long way up. There you go. Already did Meta. SNCR is at the roadmap line. It's under $10. $10 stuff doesn't always follow the patterns for regular stocks. Resistance 1137, 16, 19 on the upside. That was a reverse split, which is not bullish, which may result in a lower low. Back down to $1. Maybe where we're ultimately headed. I wouldn't surprise me one bit. SLG, Slog, SL Green Realty has resistance right there. Five up, retrace. Oh yeah, there's the target right there. Oh yeah, we're going there. That's where this one's going. May take a while, but that's where we're going. Then we'll probably retrace again, possibly back to the roadmap line, wherever it is when we get there. That one's clear to me. Almost high probability. We'll probably do that, and then we'll go on another extension. And that extension will be, yep, almost. Oh, I almost got it perfect. 130. That's where it's going. Could take a while. All right. SE. There you go. That's resistance and potentially going down here. And LRCX, Lamb Research. It's right at the head and shoulders target and just consolidating. Doesn't have to do anything at this point. We did the pop right to the target. I don't know if past that. Guess it could potentially do an extension up to 120 or 1230, 1230. Possibly. May retrace a bit before we do that. It would not be unexpected to do a retrace back down, retest the breakout, and then do another rally. Wouldn't surprise me. Well, we could just do the meta thing and just grind on up, though. Jumped around. SKWT. I don't And that can't be the right ticker. SKWT. SKWS, maybe? We have Skyworks? SWKS, maybe? We've got lower highs cooking. Consolidating on the roadmap line. May go deeper again. Not awesome. I don't have a SKWT. Not showing up. BITQ is just sitting here. Probably going to retrace. Failed to break higher. Return to the roadmap line would be expected. That's what I would expect. Yeah, I can't remove the stupid. Expect a retrace. If we do that and we hold that, and like that. It's kind of what I expect on BITQ. JPM has earnings on Friday. Caution, we're already at the target on the upside. Pushing the top end of the target too. Wow. Watch for a retrace sometime. This thing went way up here. That can come on earnings. Watch out. Be careful. Could we keep going higher? Yeah. Do I have any upside targets? Not really. Not at this time. That was pretty much, I guess, 238 maybe. Might be the next one. I'd really like to see a retrace, but keep being crazy. And MATC, USD, didn't pull anything. Look for Matic. Maybe. We got to take a stab at that. I have a nice chunk of Polygon, and I'm quite bullish on Polygon because we have done a nested setup here. That high, that low, puts it up here. This is just the same pattern I was drawing a minute ago on whatever that, whatever the realty thing was. Puts it up here. The potential to then retrace again, back like this, and potentially get another final push up into this $10-ish area right here. Arrow. Something like that. About like that. Something like that. AMSC. American Semi. Super, Semi, whatever. Retrace to the roadmap line would be what I expect. Didn't get the extension. Came up short. Rejecting. If we turn down, if we get below the roadmap line, going down again. This thing has not trended forever. We turned it down off of this, and we're just farting around at the bottom. Not cool. Not something I want to get involved in either. But it's a triple bottom, but it can still make a lower low. Especially after coming off of something like that. Whew. Not for me. Sorry. Not getting involved in that. And NVIDIA looks like a retrace is in order. Now, back when I drew this up here, it was going to require 3.06. Now, we're going to need even more. Cool ads. We're going to need even more to beat Microsoft because we got to get 3.13 trillion at this point. It may take 3.2 or 3.3 trillion to get to be the biggest company in the world. So we're going to have to push this on up and maybe get to 3.3 trillion, 3.2. Let's just say 3.2 at this point, which puts us about, I think, $1,300. 1250 puts us 3.06. 13, I think, puts us up at 3.2. It's going to take a move up there to be the biggest company in the land. I wouldn't discount it, but it's also breaking down below the 21-day, and the support zone is down at the roadmap line. If we get below that, watch out for a bigger retrace. I was a buyer back here. I did buy at 150, sold out up here when we consolidated and farted around for a little while. And do I feel like I missed out? No, I got really good money on shares and I sold out. And I've just been waiting for the next opportunity. If we can get a big retrace, I'll jump on it. Till then, just sit and wait. Already did AMD. And with that chat open, you can use find page, browse hamburgers, see, or duplicates. I don't have a page. I have an app that broadcasts and shows me the chat. Support for Tesla. This is a complicated one because we've talked about it ad nauseum. And Rongamer, I don't see you in the chat, but Rongamer works there. And we have support at 158. We have resistance at the gap down at 208 from the last earnings. And JT went long TSLL today with like 1,000 shares or something. I bought today. I'm going to ride this puppy out. I think we may have bottomed. We have earnings coming up right here. We have consolidation until earnings is my guess. And then watch out. Major resistance right there. Like it's all lining up. The roadmap line coming back down into the gap. We get above that point right in there. Game on, going higher. My target, up. Big up. 350 as the initial target. And then we can talk bigger targets after that. I mean, bigger targets can be substantially higher. Some of my stuff from before the last split. But we could be talking... I mean, we're kind of talking prematurely, but 597, 966, possibly wickedly higher than that. Maybe like JT. I'm not sure. Well, check this out. We could be talking like ludicrous targets, and that's probably not one. But ludicrous targets, 3,000, 30. What is that? Yeah, 3,000. Let's not get our hopes up too high yet. All right. We still got to contend with this right here. This pop, this retrace. That sets us up to potentially go test this area right up in here. If and when we get above here. Clear as that. All right. BITO already did. PAAS. Right there is the resistance. Till we get above that, not much upside to it. Man, that's gnarly. That is a gnarly chart. Good potential, but oof, man, it's got a lot of crap to work through. Resistance right there. All right, that's ALB. An hour and a half. ALB still looks pretty garbage. Below the roadmap line. Downside came up short of the downside target and the head and shoulders target. I'm not sure we're done yet. Let me see further downside there. Wouldn't surprise me if we broke on lower on ALB. Inium, I am quite bullish, as evidenced by the giant up arrow. That jump out. There you go. That's what kind of bullish I am. That's a measured bounce. That's a weak target too. We could be talking 120, possibly 140. Mega pattern. And that's not, I mean, put it in log mode, which is where it lines up. We could be talking 270, which just sounds ridiculous to me. So I'm going with the lower targets of 120. That's what we got cooking. That I got I got like 300 contracts at 60 out to 2026. All right. I'm not playing around on this one. Not playing around. This is JT's got a bunch of money riding on this one. Not as much as some crypto, but I'm out here to 2026 with $60 calls. Already up to 200%. Looking for that pop. 60 is just right here. That's 60. Right there. And I'm looking for 120. I paid $1. Like, those dollar calls can go to $60. I mean, whew, I'm talking big money. I'll probably book it somewhere along the way and reevaluate, especially if we pop up in this area and we start retracing. I'll probably book it out. BTBT is complete garbage at this point, holding a marginal higher low. Let's be honest, this looks like garbage. Popped up, rejected the roadmap line, retraced. We're like right at the last ditch, gotta save it area. If we can't do that, we did tag that lower low. Can't save this right here, right now. Not looking good. The next move down, probably down here to $1.50. SKWD. Yeah, still going. There's Wrongimer. Just talking about you, man. Just did Tesla. And resistance. Watch for the retrace. Oh, I hit the button. Right there would be the support. Watch for the retrace. It's not magic. It's just the same pattern I look for over and over and over. All right. That's it. I think that was it. Yeah, Wronger posted some banging pictures in Discord. If y'all didn't see it in the off-topic channel. Dun, 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 dun. Good work, my man. Really pretty. Let's see if let me see if I pop one up real quick. Give you credit for it. Let's see, where was it? I gotta scan down, scroll down. Yeah, there you go. Oh, didn't pop up on a new browser. Yeah, Wrongimer took that yesterday. Not pretty cool? Oh, that was really cool. Good work, my man. There you go. 30 seconds of fame. All right, everybody. That was 30 minutes of awesome. And actually like an hour and a half of awesome. An hour and 30 minutes of awesome. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Same bad time, same bad channel, 9:15. Every morning we do What's Cooking Morning Monster. I drink my monster and we check out the market and see what's moving. CPI coming up in the morning. Reminder, last reminder, my cause some volatility. I'm expecting kind of a pop. That's what I'm slightly biased position for. We'll see what happens. I'll be back. Talk to you in the morning after the CPI announcement. Be careful out there.